Last race before we go into this very long summer break, part 2, and we go to one of the most technically challenging tracks on the calendar year, the Hungary GP. I actually love this track, even if they do call it the second Monaco of our calendar year. There's not too many overtakes, but the amount of years we've had crazy entertainment here, when there is overtakes, they're always very nice and precisely done. The veteran drivers usually do better here. It's kind of like a big glorified karting track. And for that reason, it's always been one of my favorites, especially in the Europe part of the F1 season. Lewis Hamilton has a crazy record around here. Fernando Alonso, there's been multiple battles with Fernando and Schumacher back in the years. Lewis has battled it out here with Verstappen, even in qualifying, putting on that crazy lap in 2023. 24, we obviously had that crazy drama and controversy amongst the two McLaren drivers. 22, we had Ferrari making complete strategy blunders, which I guess is usual with them.
Explain the strategy today for us watching.
I don't know yet.
But in general, just a very fun and lovable track, even with the not having too many overtakes. As for the preview, we're not going to have another one of those crazy between C1 to C3, C4. We're going back to the C3, C4, and C5 compounds, the softest, and it is typically a 2-stop here that is the preferred strategy, which makes it even more interesting because obviously now there's a couple of different factors like pit stop timing, and can you keep those tires to either go for a 1-stop or the preferable 2-stop. It's very rare you see somebody 1-stop here. But in general with this track, like I said, the downforce level, it's going to be a 5, and track evolution is also going to be very big here, as not too many cars go racing here in the year. It is a Formula 1 dedicated track pretty much. The braking is a 3. Yes, it's called the second Monaco, but there's not as many slow speed corners like Monaco where you have to pretty much rotate the whole steering wheel around to make some certain chicanes. It's not like it here. It's all about having the perfectly balanced car, which is kind of something we don't really like because there's one car that's much more balanced than the others, but that's only for the top team. Otherwise, it should be extremely close. It does have tire stress as a 3 here, but I would even bump it up to a 4 because of how soft the compounds are, but that makes it much more interesting. For the headlines going into this track, Ferrari is going to be a big one to look at. Spa was decent, but if they can do well here, that'll be a big confidence boost for them because this track is all about a balanced car, being able to really control it in those medium to high speed sectors where the car can look very tricky to drive. As I said, it's kind of like a glorified go-kart track, so it's a lot of sliding and being very precise on the wheel. Confidence and experience plays a big factor here in the Hungaroring. But also it'll be interesting to see Aston Martin, who did bring upgrades but didn't really use them in Spa. This should be a track to actually show them off. The car was very bad in Spa. I expect that to be a complete turnaround here in Hungary, and Fernando Alonso sounded very happy with the front wing that was brought, but not used in the GP. Williams, with the upgrades they had, is back up towards the top of the midfield. Let's see if it can stay on a track like Hungary, which notoriously hasn't been great for them in this regulation period. But make sure you go ahead and drop your predictions on the Unchained race week for Hungary. I actually cannot believe that Ryoma and Nairo scored literally 35, meaning they got all top 5 positions correct. Maybe you guys should take my seat and start making the videos because clearly I'm not getting there. I threw a Fernando in the top 5. That was a big mistake, clearly. And Lewis is also in my top 5, but that didn't end up coming true as well. Regardless, go ahead and drop your predictions. Also check out the store. The clothes are live. Thank you to everybody that's already ordered. It means the world to me. But let's get started with my predictions for this race week. Per usual, we're starting off with the teams, worst and best. We'll go worst first. I think Spa kind of proved it that any team could be 10th, but also any team could be 5th based off what we've seen in the season. To me, the Haas car, it's up or down. Ali said it was going to be a good weekend here in Hungary. From what I've seen on these tracks, it doesn't seem like that's the most well-balanced car. It looked good in Spa, but maybe that was due to setup and a couple of other things. The Williams car, I don't think is going to be as strong here. In Sauber, throughout the regulation period, it's been Hungary that's always been that one track they qualify really high in for some weird reason. Aston should also look a lot better here. It's really tough to throw up a 10th team. I still believe the Alpine car is the worst, not by much, so I will have them in 10th. The Racing Bull car, just like the Haas car, has tracks where it's amazing at, and then other tracks you don't even see at all GP. So my 9th and 8th, it's really tough to make a decision. Sometimes the Aston car is even 9th and 8th. I don't think it's going to be for this track. Ali says they should have a better GP. I'm going to put the Racing Bulls in 9th. I'm very hesitant of that. And something's telling me the Sauber car this year in particular won't be as good as the Aston, the Haas, or the Williams. But I do think Haas and Aston should be the top of the midfield here. Like I said, it's very difficult to predict these midfield cars. They're constantly getting upgrades, and then whether they can find that true balance of the car, that depends on the weekend. I mean, in Spa, Aston was nowhere because they were trading parts in and out like they've been doing in the seasons. So I don't know. I am predicting 5th for Aston out of the teams. Haas could very much take that spot, but then we could see a curveball with Racing Bulls literally popping up there as well. But this is my 10th, 9th, and 8th for the worst teams. Now looking at the best teams, it's so obvious who's number 1 here. I think McLaren is going to destroy the competition, and it's probably not going to be close. My reason for that being, even with the wet, I mean, who knows if we're even going to get any wet races. I wouldn't even really count on wet setups. It's a track where you bolt on as much downforce as possible, so a wet setup here doesn't matter like it did in Spa. And then, of course, the FI decided, let's not do this race in the wet. Let's just have it be a dry track. And the people that went on a wet setup got screwed over. So for this track, don't really count on that. I just think the McLaren car is going to dominate. It's about well-balanced cars. Look at that car. That MCL 39 is perfect. If you don't think it's a dominant car, you were just wrong. That car is insanely fast and much quicker than the rest of the field. And really, it's about if Lando can find that confidence. I think in the race he's quicker, but Piastri in qualifying and more consistent. That's another thing too. He's just consistent from track to track. But I do think Max with the Red Bull should be 2nd here, and it'll be a very close battle in 3rd between Ferrari and Mercedes. It'll be a real test for Ferrari, but also Mercedes, who I think has been struggling very badly in a lot of these tracks that should have been suiting them in those conditions. But throughout the regulation period, Red Bull and Mercedes have always been good here. Ferrari from time to time. With that being said, we can talk about my Unchained driver. Last time I said Fernando. Clearly my Unchained driver seems to be a curse for the surprise, so maybe I'm going to do it different this time. I'm going for a crazy shout here. Has been a curse. Let's see if Franco Colapinto can make a move here. He's going to be my surprise of the weekend. Whether that means points or not, maybe he's close. I hope he does well. Now, if we look at surprise team here, it's also very tough to judge, but I will say the Aston car, considering how bad Spa was, I think they're going to make a big turnaround here for Hungary. If that doesn't happen, that's pretty insane because they're completely different tracks. If they didn't perform in Spa, I would expect them to perform much better here in Hungary. And looking at my worst drive, it's actually very tough for me to make a prediction for worst drive because so many drivers have been doing well. I think this is the hardest prediction to make for worst drive because you're genuinely just going off of kind of what you're thinking in the moment. I don't really think anybody's been having a really bad season, but Kimi's been pretty bad as of lately. I do think Hungary is a much better track for him, so I'm not going to throw him up there. But another rookie that's been doing good. I don't want to jinx him. I really like him, but for some reason, I think Gabi is going to have the worst drive here. It kind of aches me to say that because I really like the guy. He's been doing very well. If it's one bad drive, I'm throwing it out there. It's not like this prediction for me has been doing very good either, so whatever. Take it how you will. But let's go over my top 5 for the Unchained race week. Okay, going over the 2025 race week, it is the Hungarian GP. Going off the dome again. Sometimes it's gonna be good, other times not so great. Belgium GP was far from that. And I am a bit conflicted on who to throw into the top 5. For me, Lewis Hamilton is solidified a top 5 spot here. And I'm gonna just put him in P5, just going off of that. It's a track that he adores, just like Silverstone. It's been one of his best tracks of all time. Has the most wins here at 8. Can he make a 9? I don't think so. So that's why I threw him up in 5th in that Ferrari car. Very hard to say that he can do it. I do think he will be beat by his teammate Charles Leclerc. We're actually going to see Ferrari in the top 5. This is kind of a crazy prediction I got out there. For P3, this is also another obvious one. I think if everything goes by the book in the weekend, there's no crazy conditions, nothing insane to throw it off. This is probably what we will see. I'm putting up Oscar in 2nd, Lando in 1st. And let me tell you my thoughts as to why I have Lando above Oscar on this track. I think it's a track that rewards a driver that's more consistent in the race. That's something Oscar lacks a little bit. Now, let me make sure that you guys know, I think Oscar is quicker in this season, but I think Lando is just the more consistent driver, and that's why it helps him in the race. But he's only been consistent in the race, and when the cars are this close, qualifying matters so much. But it's been a track that over the years, Lando has done better. Now, how you want to go about 24, it's up to you, but I'm putting Lando up here. It's up to him whether or not he actually takes the victory, I think, in the race, like I said. I keep using this point. He is the quicker driver, but Oscar is still young. And as soon as he develops that top pace that he can get to more often, this isn't prime Oscar that we're seeing. It might be prime Lando that we're seeing. Oscar will get better, so he's got to make it count this year, or it's going to be a very tough time for Lando to actually win a championship in his career. And fastest lap last time was Kimi, which was definitely out of the blue. I'm going to go for Oscar. I think he can put in the fastest lap, but he will not be able to overtake Lando. And then Constructors winner, for the millionth time, I'm putting up McLaren because it's hard to have these guys out. I think it's going to be a very dominant McLaren track. But make sure you guys go on the website, unchainedmediainc.com. Thank you all so much. And I wanted to let you guys know, if you stay to the end of the video, that this setup behind with the color and the Unchained, it will be different if I end up uploading some videos within these 3 weeks. I'm taking a bit of a vacation, and I'm going to try and throw myself into those videos. Maybe it'll just be me speaking on the mic and just obviously B-roll. But if you do see me, it's going to be a bit different of a background. I will be back, like I said, going to be in Europe for a bit, but I'm going to try and upload. There are a couple of ideas that I have for some videos that I would like to still get out to you guys on the summer break. Couple things to look out for. But thank you all so much for support. Please leave a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.